1580. We fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey,
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time. We gon' get it right, we gon' get it right, we gon' get it right. We gon' get it right.
Protests and anthems, yes, we chanting a movement of people. It's like we dancing to the ministry of, it's the energy of, in memory of them that we love. The trinity of the people, the peace, the power, the truth. We speak the powers even louder. We can say it blacker, we can say it prouder. A woman vice president that went to Howard. Now we talk helping black businesses, and our differences is magnificent. Bringing light to the point where the prisons is. I was told good life is where forgiveness lives. The ascension is to leave what's left behind and feed the seeds with deeds that bless the mind, caress the mind, and question justify. With you and God in time, my best align.
Shine, flies, no time to waste while it's passing you by. Shine, flies, be patient, 'cause good things happen in time.
That's right. Good things happen in time. Indeed, you are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I am your host and Chief White House Correspondent, Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. I'm in touch until you be in touch. Follow me on all the social media platforms at Dr. Nii-Quartelai. Just type in Dr. Nii-Q. That's DRNIIQ. And boom, bam, boom, like music. There I am. I guess more like your favorite song. There I am. Fresh for you to follow and maybe even wiggle to. Also, be sure to download the KBLA app to listen to us live or on demand, or simply tell Alexa to play KBLA Talk 1580. And there we are for your listening pleasure. Also, subscribe to A More Perfect Union podcast. That way you'll never, ever miss an episode. You are listening to A More Perfect Union in afternoon drive time. We have been talking a lot about the LA wildfires. Here is the latest update as reported by the New York Times. I mean, the world is watching what's happening in Los Angeles and wondering, how did this get so bad so quickly? Well, part of it is because there are multiple wildfires. Multiple wildfires were consuming acre after acre, building after building in the LA area today, displacing tens of thousands of people and ravaging entire neighborhoods, as strong winds and dwindling water supply has stymied firefighters' efforts to stop the destruction. More than 1,000 structures have burned in the Palisades fire, making it the most destructive in Los Angeles history. That's according to CAL FIRE. It's also among the top 20 most destructive fires ever in California, based on the number of structures that have been destroyed. We know at this hour that Victor Gordo, who's the mayor of Pasadena, he said one of the biggest challenges ahead will be getting people who lost their homes into permanent long-term housing. So we already know that issue is coming. We also heard from Chief Chad Augustin of the Pasadena Fire Department, who said that fighting the Eaton fire had stretched water resources since dozens of fire engines were drawing water. Power loss also affected the system, but the winds that blew embers for miles were the big problem. Saying that, quotes, with those wind gusts, we were not stopping that fire last night. And so just to give you a sense of, again, How did things get so bad so quickly? There are many pieces to this puzzle. We're going to continue to keep our eye on this, but you all make sure you continue to listen to local officials and to heed those warnings. I'm in Los Angeles today, but I have family that is in Los Angeles right now, and I'm not giving you any advice that I wouldn't give to my own family, because we are all in community, and community is going to be how we're going to be able to get through this. Community is going to be how we're going to be able to get to the other side of this. And so hold tight and listen to local officials. In other news today, we know that there's so much happening in the news in California in particular. California police have launched stings and arrests under a new tough on crime measure. Y'all hear about this? The Guardian is reporting that that law enforcement agencies across California are touting mass arrests and prosecutions for drug charges and thefts following the passage of a tough on crime ballot measure that increased incarceration for some non-violent offenses. After decades of reforms to reduce prison overcrowding and prioritize alternatives to incarceration for minor crimes, California voters in November opted to change course. Proposition 36, y'all remember that? You might have even voted for it. Prop 36 passed by overwhelming margins, and it turned some misdemeanor shoplifting and drug possession cases into felonies. Felonies that carry prison time. Felonies that lengthen sentencing for selling drugs and certain property offenses. And so after the law went into effect on December 18th, undercover deputies in Sacramento arrested dozens of people for shoplifting while a local news station filmed with a detective saying officers were, quotes, feeling empowered. In nearby Folsom, police released body camera footage of multiple officers tackling and arresting a man accused of stealing alcohol from a Target store. And in Redding, a woman was jailed for smoking fentanyl and shoplifting at a Prop 36 sting. And so officers are out there doing what voters told them to do. See the connection between elections and policing? Elections and people want to see in terms of law and order. That's what people voted for. That's what people voted for. Moving along, Ozempic, Legos, and hearing aids. What do you think they have in common? Well, that's what Trump's Greenland plan could hit first. Let me explain. President-elect Trump, he's been threatening tariffs on a whole lot of countries for a whole lot of different reasons. New York Times reporting that on Monday, he found a new purpose for his favorite economic tool. Mr. Trump said that he would, quotes, tariff Denmark at a very high level if it refused to allow Greenland, a North American island that is an autonomous territory within the Kingdom of Denmark, to become part of the United States. Can't make this stuff up. Denmark, which has a smaller population than New York City, is not a huge trading partner for the United States. The country, a U.S. ally and NATO member, sent the U.S. more than $11 billion worth of goods in 2023, just a tiny slice of the more than $3 trillion of imports. See, the U.S. in turn sent Denmark more than $5 billion in goods, including industrial machinery, computers, and all that kind of stuff. But despite the small size, Denmark, which handles Greenland's foreign and security affairs, is home to some products that are very well loved by Americans. You don't say. Goods that could become more expensive if Mr. Trump follows through with heavy tariffs. According to the Observatory of Economic Complexities, which is a trade data platform, roughly half of Denmark's recent exports to the United States are, get this, packaged medicines, insulin, vaccines, and antibiotics. That's largely because the country is home to Novo Nordisk, the maker of Ozempic and Wegovy, the popular weight loss drugs. The company is so important to the Danish economy that it's recently accounted for half of Denmark's private sector job growth. And so you think they're just going to hand over Greenland to us just because he asked? What is this really about? In the coming weeks, we're going to dig deeper into this. But for now, we want to take a break and we want to stretch out with a phenomenal artist that is representing one of my favorite authors and social critics, perhaps maybe your favorite author and social critic, James Baldwin. When we come forward, we'll be joined with Charles Reese, who is working on a project called the James Baldwin Centennial Collection. This is his signature salon series, which is James Baldwin and Me, a Centennial celebration. He is performing right here in Washington, D.C. tomorrow, and he's going to tell us all about it when we come forward. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
What's that sound? That's the sound of Downy Unstoppable scent beads going into your washing machine and giving your clothes freshness that lasts all day long. There it is again. It's like music to your ears, or more like music to your nose. That freshness is irresistible. Let's get a Downy Unstoppables bottle shake. And now a sniff solo. Nice. With Downy Unstoppables, you just toss, wash, wow, for all-day freshness.
Wow, it's you, the Capital One Bank guy.
That's what they call me.
Mind if I get a selfie?
Yeah, sure thing. Say no fees or minimums on your Capital One checking account.
Wow, that's a keeper. So, where are you heading?
I'm off to spread the good news that Capital One helps people keep more money in their wallet with no overdraft fees.
Oh, you're the best Capital One Bank guy.
Hey, mind if I get a selfie?
Sure.
Say, Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com/bank for details. Capital One N.A. member FDIC.
So this new dose is... nope, that's not it. The price is nowhere to be found.
Mr. Green? Hi, it's all good. We've got this.
This is not just help from a Walgreens pharmacist.
Oh, new prescriptions. Cool. Let me check to see if these are the lowest cost options covered by your Medicare plan.
Oh, that's great. Thank you.
This is someone supporting you every step of the way. Chat with a pharmacist today to find help saving. This is the human kind of help. Walgreens.
Our daughter Jessie loves playing detective.
A clue.
But since we discovered she has sensitive skin, we've been playing detective too.
We thought the problem was our puppy.
But it was actually our old detergent.
Aha.
So we switched to Tide Free and Gentle. Tide Free and Gentle provides an excellent Tide clean, and it doesn't leave behind irritating residues like dyes or perfumes, so it's gentle on your skin.
Case closed.
If it's got to be clean, it's got to be Tide Free and Gentle.
Somebody bring out the confetti, baby!
Starting Monday, January 6th, KBLA Talk 1580 has a new midday lineup.
I'm excited.
Are you ready for Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornel West, Jesse Jackson Jr., D.L. Hughley, and Nii-Quartelai Quartey back-to-back?
Oh my God.
Are you really ready for all this smoke?
I'm ready, brother.
Yes, we still have Dominique DePrima in the mornings and Zoe Williams in the evenings, but middays just got lit on KBLA Talk 1580.
We on fire.
All across America, people are talking about our new midday lineup. Starting Monday, January 6th, our KBLA 1580 app downloads are on fire because everybody's going to be tuning in.
Yes, I love you guys. You are the bomb.
Now would be a good time to hit up SMB at KBLA1580.com if you want folks to hear about your business or brand. That's SMB at KBLA1580.com. It's going up in 2025 on KBLA Talk 1580.
It's going up.
That's what I want.
Ever have one of those days where your gut just feels blah?
Ugh, yes.
Occasional bloating or gas could be signs that your gut is out of balance, but Align Probiotic can help. Align 24/7 Digestive Support is a daily use probiotic with a unique strain to help relieve occasional digestive issues. It's the #1 doctor recommended brand. So when you feel the signs, it's time to try Align. Align Probiotic. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Want to play a game with me and Dad?
Mommy's not feeling good.
You need to vaporize that cold.
Vaporize?
Yeah, with Dayquil VapoCool. It's Dayquil plus a rush of Vicks vapors.
Whoa.
Come on, honey. Let's let mommy rest.
You guys are amazing. And so is Dayquil VapoCool.
Dayquil VapoCool, the vaporizing daytime coughing, aching, fever, power through your day medicine. And to vaporize sore throat pain, try Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed. Keep out of reach of children.
KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Imagine a Los Angeles where everyone can thrive, where communities have access to the resources they need to succeed. That's the vision of Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. They're dedicated to improving life in LA County by providing educational support, employment assistance, and spaces for community engagement. By 2050, they want LA to be the best place to connect, create, learn, live, and play. They're working toward an education system that's well-resourced and culturally responsive, becoming a hub for artists and innovators, and making sure everyone has access to healthy food, quality healthcare, and safe housing. It's about building a future where we all have the chance to succeed. We invite you to learn more about their mission and get involved with Detours Mentoring Group, Inc. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
A Gain Scent Bead story. Jim was at the laundromat when he heard his ear said, "Maraca, senor," but his nose said, "Hey, freshest scent ever." Following his nose, Jim found a man pouring a bottle of Gain Scent Beads into the washer. The scent, the freshness. Jim blurted, "Sir, your scent Maraca smell amazing." Actually, Jim, most noses call them Gain Scent Beads. Try Gain Scent Beads, way fresher than detergent alone.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, aka the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. We have no permanent friends or permanent enemies. Only permanent interests as we effort to build a more perfect union.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and so welcome. So I'm so excited to welcome Charles Reese, who is the star of James Baldwin and Me. James Baldwin and Me. It is a centennial celebration. You all know how much I adore and respect and celebrate and hold space for our dearly departed ancestor, James Baldwin, who would have been 100 years old this year. And so paying special tribute to him, Charles Reese will be performing tomorrow night. January 9th. Right here in the nation's capital. At Plus Boys and Poets. And so run, don't walk to get your ticket to check him out. We were so glad to have you here the night before. Welcome, Charles Reese.
Well, thank you so very much. I just want to start by giving a shout out to all my people in Los Angeles. I actually got out just before the whole state of emergency. So I was able to get here to DC, but I want to send peace and blessings to everybody. Stay as safe as you can. If you need help, don't hesitate to reach out to people.
That's right. That's right. I mean, I was saying right before the break that I think community is how we're going to be able to get to the other side of this, how we're going to be able to get to the other side of a lot of challenging things that may be coming down the pike. But, you know, nobody knew this better, perhaps, than James Baldwin. He certainly has a body of work that reinforces the power of community. Talk to us about what inspired you to put together this show, this tribute, in what would be the centennial year of James Baldwin.
Well, first of all, just a point of reference. I'll start with a Baldwin quote. Baldwin simply said, "Artists are here to disturb the peace." And that's what we're going to do tomorrow at Busboys and Poets. But to really get to your question, I met James Baldwin when I was a freshman at Morehouse College.
Wow.
And I actually ran away from James Baldwin. I was green, didn't know any better. But the reason why I ran away is for this reason. My mother, Mrs. Mary Alice Reese, who was right here in the northwest section of D.C., she allowed me to go to Morehouse. Notice I said she allowed me to go to Morehouse.
Yeah.
And what was happening during that time when I got to Morehouse, there was a case called the Wayne Williams case, aka the Atlanta Child Murders case. And so I was entering in Morehouse at the time when over 25 plus young Black men were murdered in Atlanta, Georgia, and a trial was beginning to start. And my mother was terrified. So she said, "Go, but if you run into any strange things, I suggest that you run." So I ran into James Baldwin, saw him. He said, "My, you have eyes like mine." And I said, "Thank you." And I ran. I ran because my mama said, "Run from anything that you think that might be frightening to you." And at that time, I knew who Baldwin was face-wise. But here's the deal. Baldwin was in Atlanta, Georgia in 1981 because he was hired by Playboy magazine to do a story on the Wayne Williams case, which is the Atlanta Child Murders case. That story, one article, ended up being a book called The Evidence of Things Not Seen.
Wow.
So to segue to finish up this answer, Baldwin had this wonderful quote that I think that happened to me. I think that those eyes in that one moment, sometimes you only get the moment. That was the moment. And he simply said, in this wonderful quote that I use a lot, it deals with this whole idea of no one knows what is about to happen. It is happening each time, for the first time, for the only time. That was what that's how my Baldwin journey began. I ran away from him in that one moment, and I spent the last 25 years working on Baldwin as a purveyor of his work. And so this particular centennial project, I took and did a spoken word album around my take on who Baldwin was, meeting him, playing him, and who would Baldwin be today if he was a poetry spoken word album, poetry spoken word artist today. So James Baldwin to me is a reflection of all that. And I'm going to be doing some excerpts tomorrow at Busboys and Poets from that album, and then they're going to have a conversation.
Wow, that is really an extraordinary story. I mean, there are so many of us that are inspired by the work and the life and the legacy of James Baldwin, but not everybody can say that they've actually come eye to eye with James Baldwin. Talk to us about some of the components of tomorrow night's show, that you believe are particularly relevant for this moment that we find ourselves in. It's hard to flip through the channels on the TV or flip through the pages of the newspaper and not see so many examples of crises at home and abroad. Talk to us about what components of the show do you believe are particularly relevant for this moment in time.
Well, first of all, let's just start with the title. James Baldwin at 100, celebrating the enduring witness. So my witnessing started when I ran away, and what Tracy Childs McGee, who's the actual curator of this event, she's brought together myself. I'm the special guest. They're going to be kind of sort of centering the room around Baldwin. We're going to do an ancestral call, and then we're going to really allow people to share in this ancestral call to center you, to get you ready for the conversation with these three wonderful people that are going to be there. It's going to be E. Ethelbert Miller, Dr. Sonia Diggs Colbert, and Natalie Hopkinson, and it's going to be moderated by Dwayne Lawson Brown. And this whole event is sponsored by the DC Humanities Division, and Tracy Childs McGee is a fellow, and she decided to invite a guest like myself, and I'm a native of DC. So what wonderful way to kind of sort of embrace this whole collective thing, from me coming from LA coming back home, people here in the DC metro area and the surrounding areas to come into Busboys and Poets, who's known for community gatherings. So it's a conversation piece mixed with a little poetry, spoken word, and I think Busboys and Poets is a perfect place to have it.
Well, I agree. And the people are talking. The streets are talking about this performance. You want to hear part of what they're saying? They're saying that, quotes, an evening in history with James Baldwin is an immersive, fun, thought-provoking experience. The show blends elements of social commentary, audience participation, laughter, memory, and powerful excerpts from James Baldwin's works to create an unforgettable event. And you know what they're saying about Charles Reese? I'm trying to make you blush, Charles. They're saying that you command beautifully, that you leading the audience through a profound account of Black joy, Black pain, Black work, Black triumph. It's riveting, contemporary, and bold, not only a celebration, but an exploration of Baldwin's timeless words and sentiments, encouraging viewers to bear witness and hold the mirror to oneself. Let me tell you something. Especially that last part, holding the mirror to oneself.
Holding the mirror.
That is not work for the weak. It's not work for the faint of heart. In fact, that is work that we try to do each and every day right here on A More Perfect Union. And we're going to continue that work with Charles Reese when we come forward. You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. More with Charles Reese, the star of James Baldwin and Me, a centennial tribute.
If you're looking to be engaged, enlightened, and empowered about issues related to national politics, elections, identity, culture change, and social justice, you tuned into the right place. A More Perfect Union continues when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton with 4 things you should know from BIN News. Southern California wildfires have killed 2 people, injured others, and destroyed over 1,000 structures. The Palisades and Eaton fires have each burned over 10,000 acres, while the Hearst fire has scorched 500 acres near San Fernando. Residents are urged to evacuate. A man has been arrested Wednesday after trying to enter the Capitol Visitor Center with a machete and 3 knives in his bag. Security spotted the weapons during an X-ray screening. He faces multiple charges. Wall Street is closing with stocks mixed. It comes after minutes from the Federal Reserve's meeting last month were released and added to investor concerns that there may be less rate cuts this year than expected. And the CIAA is mourning the loss of Abraham Ham Mitchell, or Mr. CIAA, who passed away at 95. Known for his vibrant suits and love for HBCU basketball, he was a fixture at tournaments for nearly 50 years. I'm Amber Payton on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Let's check some of these fire closures. That includes Pacific Coast Highway between Malibu and the 10 freeway in Santa Monica. In Malibu, it's off limits at Malibu Canyon Road. We're also looking at the drive on the 10 freeway. This is eastbound out of Santa Monica, no problems. And you're a little crowded through Mid-City. And you continue into downtown Los Angeles, nothing major at all. The westbound side of the 10 remains closed at Lincoln, so if you happen to be traveling into that direction, they will divert you off at Lincoln. And we're also heading now to the drive on the 5. Delays served up northbound out of Pacoima from the 118 freeway all the way to the 14. 210 westbound, still a mess away from Roxford as you travel ahead towards the 5. The northbound side of the 405 loads up out of Mission Hills from the 118 to the 5 merge into Sylmar.
Your local Staples has hot deals and super low prices throughout the store on everything for your business. And right now at Staples, save up to $175 off your print order. Exclusion supply. Visit staples.com/print for details. Ends 2/1. Plus, save even more with the Easy Rewards program at Staples.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NFL is monitoring the wildfires that are burning in several areas inside the city limits of Los Angeles. The league wants to be sure of the air quality for Monday night's playoff game between the Rams and Minnesota Vikings at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood. The Rams were not scheduled to practice today. They have tentative plans to practice tomorrow, depending on the conditions. The Chargers, who have a playoff game at Houston on Saturday, adjusted their practice routine today to limit the amount of time players and staff were outside. The Chargers are scheduled to leave for Houston on Friday. The family of Lakers coach J.J. Redick was forced to evacuate their home in Pacific Palisades Tuesday night. Pacific Palisades is one of the areas hardest hit by the wildfires. The Lakers returned to L.A. Tuesday night after their loss in Dallas. They are scheduled to play Charlotte Thursday night at Crypto.com. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, y'all, come on. Come to
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
I joined the military for my kid and his mom. I miss my son a lot. One of the things with the military is tobacco, but that's how a lot of people try to deal with mental issues. Everyone's vaping constantly. After my first hit of a vape, I was hooked like that. Once I got back home from my deployment, I caught my son trying to hit my vape. That was it. I had to quit.
Californians are beating big tobacco. You can too. For free support, text Kick Nicotine to 66819 today.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hit me.
National news, the consequence, informed opinion, and analysis beyond the headlines. You're listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and he is Charles Reese. He's a star of James Baldwin and Me, a centennial tribute. If you are in our nation's capital, if you're in Washington, D.C., you've got to go out to Busboys and Poets on Thursday, January 9th. That's tomorrow. To check out this incredible tribute to James Baldwin at 100. Charles, I've got to ask you, there are two Jimmys that are heavy on my mind, or have been heavy on my mind today. One is James Baldwin, as I was preparing for our conversation, and the other is Jimmy Carter, who is right now lying in state right here in the nation's capital. Talk to us about the relationship between those two Jimmys, the relationship in time between those two Jimmys. Both would be 100.
Same time.
Talk to us about the relationship between those two individuals in time and how that might have informed how you put this project together.
Well, it's so interesting because I have a little Jimmy Carter story too. So here's the deal. Jimmy Carter was the president when I got accepted at Morehouse in 1980. And so as they were transferring presidential things, that's how I was entering in. It's very fascinating that Jimmy Carter, I was an usher at Martin Luther King Sr.'s funeral, which happened in Morehouse, and Jimmy Carter was the speaker at that actual funeral service.
Oh, wow.
Of course, Carter, because he's from Georgia, had that whole connection with the whole civil rights movement, with all the movement people, I should say. Of course, Dr. King and family, because he represented, of course, the state of Georgia. As it relates to James Baldwin, Jimmy, it was so interesting that I was, and this is just my personal connection. I'll move a little further when we in a minute. I was going to Morehouse during Jimmy Carter's last year, his presidency, and that's when I met James Baldwin in Georgia. Very interesting. Now, and I actually thank you, because I had not put that connection together until you asked that question. So the Jimmys in my life play such a role in that fact. One starting my college years, the other one starting my college years. And of course, I went through the whole Jimmy Carter presidency, because from 76 to 80, I was here living in Washington, D.C. And I was just kind of sort of beginning to get familiar with a little bit of Baldwin. What people don't also realize too, you weren't finding Baldwin in school situations during my high school days. It was very interesting. You kind of sort of happenstance with Baldwin, because people either was reading him privately, and during that time around the 80s, Baldwin had he was living in Paris. I should say he was living in Saint-Paul-de-Vence, which is the southern part of France. So he was kind of sort of being that expat living in Paris, coming to America. And during those days, Baldwin was serving as more so of a professor during those particular days, still taking writing stories. He taught at Bowling Green. He taught Susan Lloyd Parks at Mount Holyoke. So they kind of sort of merge in my personal life that way. As it relates to historical things, I would have to say Baldwin was always known for writing letters and touching base and letting the presidents of the United States and their people know what America needs. Example, one of the big things that I did when I was on Off-Broadway, the play that I did called James Baldwin and Soul on Fire focused on James Baldwin going to a secret meeting with Robert Kennedy in 1963, where he brought Lorraine Hansberry, Lena Horne, Harry Belafonte, and Dr. Kenneth Clark to talk about race relations. So Baldwin was always in the center of the space. By the time Jimmy Carter came along, I would always say Jimmy Carter kind of sort of benefited from the things that Baldwin and all the other people did at that particular meeting, connecting people, telling people what they needed to hear unapologetically. So Baldwin was that voice. Carter was, I think he was that humanity man. And I will give you this Baldwin quote on how I feel Baldwin might have reached out to Carter. He simply said, and nobody knows my name, human freedom is a complex, difficult, and a private thing. If we can liken life for a moment like a furnace, then freedom is the fire that burns away illusion.
Freedom is the fire that burns away illusion. I really love how we're connecting the dots here between Jimmy Carter, Jimmy Baldwin, and I see how you sprinkled in some Robert F. Kennedy. And just a programming note for all of our leaders, learners, and listeners: tomorrow we'll be in conversation with Carrie Kennedy, the daughter of Robert Kennedy, and so. We're looking forward to hearing her talk about the relationship between RFK and Jimmy Carter, their relationship in life and their relationship in history. But for now, we've been talking a lot about your performance, which again is taking place here in the nation's capital at Busboys and Poets on January 9th. That's tomorrow.
Yeah. And let me give you the correct address, because you remember there's a couple of Busboys and Poets. So we're at 450 K Street location Northwest.
Okay, great. So that's like 4th and K Northwest. Really, run, don't walk. Run, don't walk. I mean, I think a lot of folks, particularly in this town, as the transition of power is happening, are looking for some inspiration, some respite, I think people are unsure and unclear about what the future holds, and so they're looking to be tethered to something substantive.
And that's what we're going to try to do. Remember, just so you know, I'm at the very top. I kick everything off. I'll be joining for some Q&As after the conversation, so get there early. And then for those who might be feeling a certain way, listen, I had to get on a plane, came from the fires, got here. It's cold outside, I get that. We are sold out. They have a waiting list because people drop off here and there, but show up anyway. Because here's the thing that Baldwin says. He says this nice and easy with people. He says, go the way your blood beats. If you don't live the only life that you have, you won't live some other life. You won't live any life at all. So you might as well go the way your blood beats. Come on down to Busboys and Poets, K Street Northwest. Let me engage you and ease your spirits for a little bit, and let the words and the endearing spirit of Baldwin carry you to the next phase.
That's great. That's really great. It's really great. What advice would you offer to folks who may not be able to come out and see the show, but maybe they're listening to us in some other part of the country and some other part of the world? Can you give them a micro dose? Give our audience a micro dose of what they're going to get tomorrow.
A micro dose of what you're going to get tomorrow. Today feels like a poem for James Arthur Baldwin, because the sun is warm upon my skin, becoming Nubian, a cool African vibe, a preaching man in the park with no home, no church, cutting across lines of imperceptibility, because we are so far, we hear away our children's faint, fading breath. James Baldwin, happy 100th birthday.
There you have it. There you have it, Mr. Charles Reese. We thank you for your art. James Baldwin at 100, celebrating the enduring witness. Go out and check it out at the Busboys and Poets location, located at near 4th and K Northwest, here in our nation's capital. And again, what a day to do it. Earlier in the day will be the state funeral for former President Jimmy Carter. And what a great way to round out the evening with the other Jimmy Baldwin. And so thank you, Charles Reese, for all you do, for your art, for really remembering the greatness of Jimmy Baldwin, but also reminding us of the critique, the critiques, plural, of Jimmy Baldwin. We appreciate you.
I appreciate you as well. Again, peace and blessings. All the best to you for a great year.
Thank you. You've been listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. When we come forward, I got the quiet part out loud waiting for you. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
Striving to make America a nation as good as its promise. This is A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. If you need help getting your resume in order, finding job training, or landing a job, we've got 3 great options for you. First, the City of Los Angeles has worksource centers across the area offering free job support. The California Workforce Development Board can help you with everything from GED prep to vocational training at no cost to you. On the federal level, the Department of Labor's American Job Centers offer a full range of services for job seekers and businesses alike. Visit careeronestop.org, or for more info, just call California's Help Center or visit cwdb.ca.gov or call 916-657-1440. For the City of Los Angeles programs, go to ewd.lacity.gov or call 213-744-7300. All these services are free to help you get your next job. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, Black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Notable journalists, industry leaders, lawmakers, change makers, taste makers, and you working to build a more perfect union on KBLA Talk 1580.
You are listening to and streaming A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey. We've been talking quite a bit, particularly in the first hour, about the Los Angeles wildfires. We want to strongly urge all of our leaders, learners, and listeners to pay extra close attention to local authorities, to make sure that you are prepared at a moment's notice if, in fact, you have to evacuate. I'm in Washington, D.C. today, but if I was in Los Angeles, I would have a bag packed by the door just in case. I would make sure that my car had a full tank of gas, because it's one thing to get in the car and go. It's another thing to find yourself running idle or perhaps in traffic, trying to get out of harm's way. And so I have found that in times of crisis that the best thing to do is to plan for the things that we can plan for. Can't plan for everything, especially with these Santa Ana winds. We really are monitoring this crisis in Southern California, really, hour by hour. We're not even day by day yet. And so please make sure that you and your families are taking every precaution and take this thing seriously. Don't try and wait things out. While we've been on air, I received an update from Pepperdine University, and many of you know that I also teach at Pepperdine. University officials are continuing to monitor the Palisades fire, which is now approximately 3 miles east of the Malibu campus and approaching the area burned in the Franklin fire, which is about 2.4 miles from the campus. As the fire moves westward and approaches the burned area from the Franklin fire, fuel for the fire will significantly decrease. That is certainly the hope. The Palisades fire has burned more than 11,800 acres, but continues to pose no immediate threat to the Malibu campus. The university is also monitoring multiple other fires in the LA region, which continue to grow but are not a threat to campus right now. And so this is probably the 6th or 7th update that I've received from Pepperdine alone. I've also been monitoring Facebook, and I encourage folks to also zoom in to your Facebook updates. I've been paying close attention to the folks who've been marking themselves safe on Facebook, and particularly for family members that may not be right there with you in LA. That may be that may help to tamp down some of the anxiety that people might be experiencing. I saw that Vice President Harris really early today put out a statement saying that her heart goes out to all those being impacted by the devastating wildfires in Southern California. She said she was briefed earlier tonight and will be continue to receive regular updates about these damaging wildfires and coordinated efforts to contain them. She mentioned that her and President Biden are committed to ensuring that no community has to respond to the disaster alone. They have already mobilized federal resources to help suppress the fires, provide overhead support, and begin assisting those impacted. And so that was a statement from Vice President Kamala Harris. I also saw on Facebook that former Los Angeles County Supervisor Zev Yaroslavsky had posted that among the hundreds of tragedies caused by the wildfires throughout Southern California, one of them hit really close to him. It was the Pasadena Jewish Temple and Center where him and his wife taught Sunday school until 1975. It was totally destroyed by the Eaton fire. And that wasn't the only thing destroyed. We're hearing that Maestro's Ocean Club was either seriously destroyed or seriously damaged or destroyed. The Malibu feed pen is gone. The Real Inn is gone. Wiley's Bait and Tackle is gone. Chelada Thai Food is gone. We're also getting pictures in from West Hollywood. People can see from their balconies in West Hollywood. Karen Oakham, a journalist who's written for a long time for the LA Blade, posted that. And so we'll continue to keep our thumb on this. But let me finish with this other story that hit very close to home. Have you ever stopped and thought, what if ICE agents show up? This is our reality. Schools are preparing teachers and parents. The New York Times reporting that if immigration agents arrive on the doorstep of a New York City public school, principals have been told what to do. Ask the officer to wait outside and call a school district lawyer. The school system has enrolled about 40,000 recent immigrant students since 2022. And now, as President-elect Trump prepares to take office, with promises to deport millions of undocumented immigrants, the district has shared with school staff a protocol to try to shield students who have a tenuous legal status. In December, letters to principals went out, and that's just in New York. Public schools serving clusters of migrant children have already dealt with a dizzying set of challenges in recent years. As an influx of hundreds of thousands of migrants across the southern border. Some are educating students who speak indigenous languages, and many have never before been enrolled in formal education. Others are trying to prod teenagers to class when they may face intense pressure to earn money, and many have assisted newly arrived families with finding shelter and food and water and clothes. Now these schools are facing an additional challenge: convincing parents to send their children to class when some are so anxious about deportation that they are reluctant to separate from their children for even part of the day. One superintendent really caught my attention, saying that we have parents who are afraid. We're trying to inform them of what rights they have. That came from the superintendent of the Mount Diablo Unified School District. You see, about 20% of students in the Mount Diablo district are still learning English, meaning that they are most likely recent immigrants. After Election Day, guess what happened? Attendance fell. And though he emphasized it wasn't clear exactly why students were missing, we all can imagine perhaps why. Later this month, the district will host a legal information session for parents. Its social workers have explained to families that under current law, undocumented immigrant children have the right to a public education. And federal immigration agents generally cannot arrest students or family members at school. They have also noted that American public schools do not typically track the immigration status of students. But like other education leaders, that superintendent at Mount Diablo Unified School District acknowledged that there was only so much reassurance he could offer. This is where we're at. If you're feeling the anxiety in the air, particularly on school campuses across the country, this is contributing to it. Now, aside from this being an issue that we're facing in school districts across the country, you might wonder, well, why am I sharing this particular story? You see, it's very personal. I was a student in the Mount Diablo Unified School District. In fact, that's where I started my education. My first elementary school was Holbrook Elementary School. That was my very first. And here I am. But I have never forgotten the community that raised me, and that community is feeling anxious. Members of that community are feeling under attack. We can't look away. The only way we get to the other side of what's coming is in community, and that's what we intend to do each and every day right here on A More Perfect Union. We'll have to leave it there. My thanks to the entire village that helps us produce A More Perfect Union each and every day. Our executive producer, Tavis Smiley, our sound engineer, Andy, our producers, Kim and Faraji, and each and every one of you. Remember, do what you can from where you are with what you have, but by all means, do something. I'm Dr. Nii-Quartelai Quartey, and you've been listening to A More Perfect Union on KBLA Talk 1580.
And a ploy for headlines. The U.S. Department of Education claims Tennessee owes HBCU, Tennessee State University, $2.1 billion in